So we can hear you. Can you hear that? We have calling the meeting to order now in just a second. We're waiting for everyone to sit down. We will now call the Beaufort County Board of Education business meeting of April 2, 2024 to order. This meeting is being conducted at the Hilton Head Island Middle School Media Center and is being being conducted via hybrid video conferencing and is also being live streamed by the county channel. In accordance with new safety and security guidelines, bags, backpacks, and purses are prohibited by the public at Beaufort County Board of Education meetings. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker on Beaufort County School District and school-related topics. Citizens wishing to participate in public comments can do so in person or via phone. There are two scheduled public comment forum meetings. There are two scheduled public comment forum times during each board meeting. The first is a 30-minute session near the beginning of the meeting, limited to topics on the board meeting agenda, and the second is a 15-minute session which takes place prior to adjournment and no later than 9 p.m. Requests to participate in public comments via phone will be accepted via email the day of the meeting from 5 to 5:30 p.m. for the first time frame and from 6 to 6:30 p.m. for the second opportunity. Requests should include the speaker's name, phone number, as well as topic, and should be emailed to the Executive Administrative Assistant to the Board, Robin Cushingberry, at robin.cushingberry@beaufort.k12.sc.us. Requesters will subsequently receive a phone call during their respective public forum time and should be ready to speak. Citizens desiring to participate in person must fill out a public comment card that can be obtained from the board clerk upon arrival. In the event the board is not finished addressing all items listed on tonight's agenda, the board will reconvene at 6 p.m. tomorrow night to finish the agenda items. We now need a motion to go into executive session. Vice Chair Guyer.
Madam Chair, we have a number of items on the executive session agenda. First one, receipt of legal advice related to legal claims and pending cases covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70. Second one, receipt of legal advice regarding fiscal authority covered by the attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-70. Third, employment matter in regards to personnel ratification report pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-70. Fourth, adult ed homeschool report pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-40. 5. Discussion of negotiations incident to proposed amendment number 5 with Thompson Turner Construction for Coosaw Elementary School HVAC ESSER-funded equipment purchase and 8% installation scope. Next, discussion of negotiations incident to proposed amendment number 2 with MB Con Construction Company Incorporated for the Battery Creek High School parking lot paving pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-70. Next, discussion of negotiations with property owner incident to property in the Bluffton area, South Carolina Code, pursuant to South Carolina Code, Section 30-4-70. Lastly, discussion of Health Advisory Committee applicants pursuant to Code Section 30-4-70.
Do we have a second? Second. All right. Mr. Dallas? Mr. Smith?
Madam Chair, who will be giving us giving us legal advice on South Carolina Codes Section 30-4-70 A and 2 on legal representation?
So that's going to be Regal Matthews and our general counsel for the district, Cartledge.
Okay. Regal, Mr. Matthews, and Mrs. College. Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of going into executive session for the items listed, please raise their hand in the room and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Online, we have, Wisniewski? Anybody else online? Okay. So we go into executive session 7-0 with several members absent. Board of Education business meeting of April 2, 2024. This meeting is being conducted via hybrid video conferencing and is being live streamed by the county channel. In accordance with safety and security guidelines, bags, backpacks, and purses are prohibited by the public at Beaufort County Board of Education meetings. The board has just been in executive session, and we are now back in public session. And Vice Chair Colonel Geyer, do we have any action as necessary or appropriate regarding matters discussed in executive session? And before you go ahead, can somebody fix the terrible echo that's going on?
It's back there.
Okay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Education approve the superintendent's recommendations for employment listed on the March 1st, 2024, March 31st, 2024 Personnel Ratification Report.
All right, the motion was made by Colonel Guyer and second by Earl Campbell. Any discussion? There being no hands up, please all in that are present here, raise your hand and say aye if you're in favor. Aye.
Aye.
And any nays? Abstentions? Okay, Dr. Wisniewski abstains. Mr. Smith, your vote, please.
What's the motion, Madam Chair?
I'll have him read it again. It's displayed on the screen.
I move that the Board of Education approve the superintendent's recommendations for employment listed on the March 1st, 2024, March 31st, 2024 Personnel Ratification Report.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. All right, and then online, go alphabetically, please, and so that would be Middleton. Okay. Angela, can you say aye again? State your name and vote. Yeah, we can't hear you very well at all. Okay. And is Miss Gordon on there? Okay, thank you. The motion carries 7 in favor, no nays. We have 2 abstentions, Wisniewski and Smith, and we have 2 absent, Gordon and Hay from the vote.
Madam Chair, I move the Board of Education approve the superintendent's recommendation for the monthly adult education report for April 2nd, 2024.
All right, second by Mr. Carlton Dallas. Any discussion? No hands being up. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed in the room? Those abstaining? Okay. And then online. All right. So we have 7 in favor. We have no nays and 2 abstentions, which are Boatright and Wisniewski, and absent Hay and Gordon.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Education approve Amendment Number 5 with Thompson Turner Construction for the Coosaw Elementary School ESSER Fund and 8% funded HVAC purchases, funded based on guaranteed maximum price of $1,423,799.
Second by Mr. Carlton Dallas. All right, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, 3. All right, online? So the motion, just a minute, please, I'm announcing the vote. The motion carries 6 ayes, 0 noes, and 3 abstentions. Boatright, Wisniewski, and Smith. Absent Gordon and Hay.
In terms of the last vote, actually, before you were counting it, I was going to say, actually, you can conclude my vote to a no.
Did you get that, Ms. Cushingberry? Okay. The motion would still carry. Okay.
I move that the Board of Education approve Amendment Number 2 with MB Con Construction Company, referendum based on the guaranteed maximum price of $743,220.
Second.
Thank you. So second by Earl Campbell. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just for the public knowledge, was the approval of the prior 8% as well? It was not approved. So this is a new project? Could you get a mic so they can hear you? Thank you.
Testing, yep. So it was not approved as an 8% project prior. It was a project in the 10-year plan, and it was approved as part of the 2023 referendum.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor in the room, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Okay. Any noes? Any abstentions? What was your vote?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Online? All right. So the motion carries 8-0-1. The one abstention was Nevsky. Same two, not present for the vote, i.e. Gordon and Hay. Continue on, Colonel Guyer.
I move that the Board of Education approve the Academic Committee's recommendations for the Health Advisory Committee applicants, applicant A Alpha, B Bravo, D Delta, E Echo, F Foxtrot, G Golf, H Hotel, I India, J Juliet, K Kilo, N November, O Oscar, and Q Quebec. Serve on the committee.
Do we have a second? All right. Thank you. Carlton Dallas, second the motion. Any discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Middleton? Middleton, aye. Okay, so that carries unanimously, 9-0, 2 absent.
That concludes the motions.
Thank you. All right, next we need a motion for approving the agenda. Okay, thank you. Ms. Boatwright, a second. Mr. Campbell, any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Your vote? Aye, okay. Could you please also say it, because it makes it easier for me to count you?
No problem.
Thank you.
Well, actually, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And Middleton, aye. Okay, so the agenda is approved, 9-0. Next, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please be seated. The media was properly notified. Tonight, we have the Hilton Head Island Middle School Percussion Ensemble performing Taekwondo Me Timbal and River Dance Medley under the direction of the music teacher, James Wechter. Thank you to the percussionist. That was great. They got young brains.
Recognizing, and then we'll do it again.
So,
Thank you, Principal Mr. Austin and Mr. Wechter for your students and their success tonight. A wonderful opportunity to get a chance to listen to them. And this evening, we move on to our points of celebration this evening. And the first one is the February Student of the Month for Southern Beaufort County is third grade student William Cruz. William Cruz Ryan. Our character education program was formed to support parents' efforts to develop good character in their children. And tonight we're celebrating the Character Ed Student of the Month, exhibiting the character traits of honesty and integrity. And honesty is defined as telling the truth, admitting wrongdoing, and integrity is defined as a firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values. February's Student of the Month for Southern Beaufort County is William Cruz Ryan, a third grader at Bluffton Elementary School. And here to introduce Mr. Cruz is Principal Ms. Brown.
Stand next to me. You can just stand here, bud. Okay. I'm just gonna read my nomination. I'm nominating Cruz Ryan for the character trait of honesty and integrity. Cruz constantly demonstrates a commitment to honesty in all aspects of his academic and social activities. In the classroom, he exhibits a strong sense of integrity by consistently completing his work with honesty and diligence. Whether faced with a challenging assignment or tempted by shortcuts, Cruz consistently chooses the path of honesty, showcasing his commitment to his academic integrity. Beyond his academic pursuits, Cruz exemplifies honesty in his interactions with peers and teachers alike. He possesses the quality of being forthright and truthful, even in situations where it may be difficult to do so. His peers trust and respect him, knowing that Cruz will always speak and act with integrity. What truly sets Cruz apart is his willingness to take responsibility for his actions. In instances where mistakes are made, Cruz demonstrates admirable integrity by owning up to them without hesitation. His ability to admit fault and learn from experiences is a testament to his strong moral character. In conclusion, Cruz embodies the quality of honesty and integrity in everything he does. His exemplary behavior serves as a shining example to his peers and reflects positively on our school community as a whole. I wholeheartedly believe that Cruz is deserving of Student of the Month for his outstanding display of these essential character traits. Thank you.
Next is Distributive Education Clubs of America, DECA, South Carolina Career Development Conference. And one of our Southern Beaufort County high schools recently competed at the Distributive Education Clubs of America, DECA, conference, bringing home 5 first-place wins and 1 state officer who will advance to the national competition in Atlanta. And here to tell us more about the conference and to introduce our first-place winners is Bluffton High DECA advisor and business education instructor, Dr. Carolyn Newt, and I see Ms. Donica, principal of Bluffton High School, there as well.
Dr. Newt could not be here tonight, but I do want to give her a shout out for all of her hard work and her dedication that she has put Bluffton's DECA on the map. Good evening. It is my privilege to introduce some Bluffton's most promising future leaders who have blown away the competition at the recent state conference. DECA is a nonprofit organization that prepares emerging leaders in finance, hospitality, management, and marketing. Bluffton High is fortunate enough to have its very own chapter and be home of South Carolina's DECA president, Santana Pina. Santana will now speak on her transformative journey in DECA and Bluffton High School's most recent successes.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to share my journey with you. Allow me to begin with my story. When I first joined DECA just a year and a half ago, I never imagined it would become such a defining part of my life. Yet, here I am, standing before you as the president of South Carolina DECA, a role that has shaped me in such profound ways. DECA didn't just change my life, it transformed it. And through this organization, I discovered a passion for business and marketing that I never knew existed within me. It's provided me with a platform to not only develop valuable skills, but also to forge lifelong friendships and connections. One of the proudest moments of my DECA journey was witnessing the remarkable achievements of my fellow peers at Bluffton High School. Through sheer determination and hard work, every student we sent to states placed within the top 10. And to top it off, 6 students brought home first place trophies, a testament to the dedication and talent within our chapter. But our success isn't limited to our school walls. As the president of South Carolina DECA, I have the privilege of serving over 2,000 members statewide, each with their own dreams and aspirations. Together, we've embarked on a journey of growth, learning, and empowerment. And as I stand here today, reflecting on my own DECA journey, I'm filled with gratitude for the opportunities it has given me and the person it has helped me become. DECA isn't just a club. It's a community, a support system, and a catalyst for personal and professional growth. So to everyone here, I urge you to continue supporting organizations like DECA, for they have the power to change lives and shape futures in ways we can only begin to imagine. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ori Sar, and I'm honored to follow Santana's inspiring words with my own DECA journey. DECA has been more than just an extracurricular activity for me. It's been a life-altering journey with self-discovery and growth. Working alongside Santana, we poured our hearts and souls into crafting a comprehensive 20-page franchise business plan. Over the past 6 months, together we meticulously researched, analyzed, and strategize every aspect, culminating into a 15-minute presentation that we delivered flawlessly to our judges at States. The moment they announced our first place win, we got euphoric. It was wonderful, amazing. All of our hard work went into that presentation. It was validation, not only of our dedication, our hard work, but the belief in ourselves. DECA has not only equipped me with invaluable skills and experiences, but it's also instilled a belief in me, that in my own potential. It's a journey that I'm immensely grateful for, and one that I know will continue with me for my coming years. Thank you all.
Anymore. So, next item on point of celebration is the Superintendent's Cup. The winner of the 2024 Superintendent's Cup was Bluffton High's Junior ROTC unit. Would Colonel Thomas Foster please come forward to talk more about the competition and introduce his unit?
Good evening, sir. I will tell you that very fortunate. We've been lucky to win this trophy a few times in a row. I think it's been in our school for about 6 years now. So we're going to try to keep it there again next year. The event's made up of several events, from physical activity, physical push-ups, sit-ups competition, to the academic bowl, to the trying to think of the other ones. What's that? Rifle, the marksmanship competition. So the captains are here to talk a little bit about what they've done. But yes, I'll introduce them all. We got Sean McDonough, who is the battalion commander, the executive officer, Elvis Robles, the command sergeant major is Hunter McBrayer. And then we got over here, the Alpha Company commander, Armando Alvarado. And then the marksmanship captain, was captain, he stepped down, but Tyler Tran. And all of them did a great job. Again, it comes to a number of hours that you put into your craft, and they all put a lot of hours in. So I'm really proud of all of them for what they've done.
Excuse me. Good evening, and thank you so much for your time. I'm Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Sean McDonough, and I have the honor of sharing my peers' recent experience at the recent Superintendent's Cup. We're going to open with Elvis Robles to talk about his competition experience.
Good evening, everyone. As he said, I'm Cadet Major Elvis Robles, and I'm a junior attending Bluffton High School in the ROTC program. And I'm the commander for the drill team and the color guard. So I was competing in the color guard for the first phase of superintendents, and we placed second overall between all the schools that competed. So we did really well as a team together. And apart from that, drill team, we all competed together. I don't remember exactly what place we placed, but we did really well. The camaraderie, the teamwork, everyone was just really happy to be there. It was a really fun time for us. And I'll pass it on to Hunter McBrayer on his experience. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Hunter McBrayer. I was the commander of the PT team, and I really appreciated the competition that Beaufort High School offered us. We had 5 events, and we ended up going 5th place overall. It's a really great opportunity to have our cadets test their physical fitness, and we really appreciate it. I'd like to thank Beaufort High School for it, and Armando will be taking this.
Hello, I'm Cadet Armando Alvarado. I was the captain for both the academic team and the field trip team. For the academic team, I'm sorry to say that we didn't place. However, for the field trip team, even though it was the last-minute team that we put up, I think we did really great. We got 1st place overall, and all we could think about was really what's going on. You know, what's happening in this competition? What's going to happen? All these schools are here. How are they going to do? How are we going to do? At the end of the day, we had fun. I think that the teamwork had united us, had led us to the victory. We saw that with the tug of war. We saw that with the different events that the field trip team had. And I really want to thank all of Beaufort County School District for the opportunity to give these cadets, not only us, but also the other schools, the opportunity to bond, the opportunity to compete against each other and test each other's potential. And the camaraderie that each one of us had was just really great. Thank you. Now passing on to Tyler Tren.
Hello, I am Tyler Tran, former captain of the marksmanship team. We have been training for months and months and finally gotten 1st place for Superintendent's Cup through many practice shots and breathing exercises to calm ourselves down. Thank you.
One thing I'd like to make note of is that the Superintendent's Cup was an opportunity for now all 6 high schools, because all 6 have ROTC programs now with the addition of Air Force at May River High School. And so they were able to work and compete against one another for the Superintendent's Cup. And just a few weeks after the conclusion of the Superintendent's Cup, they brought to a culmination their collaboration across schools, demonstrating, I think, superb leadership in organizing a military ball that encompassed, for the very first time, all 6 schools unified together. So they had the spirit of competition and the spirit of teamwork and collaboration to pull off a military ball from their planning from their own respective schools, organizing and delivering and executing. So congratulations to our ROTC programs. Next item on points of celebration is the South Carolina VEX IQ Full Volume State Championship. River Ridge Academy Raiders robotics teams recently competed in the VEX IQ Full Volume South Carolina State Championship. The Green Girly Grinchbots brought home the design award, and here to introduce the winning team is River Ridge Principal, Mr. Brian Ryman.
Good evening. The Green Girly Grinchbots, one of 7 VEX IQ teams from River Ridge Academy Raiders Robotics this year, participated in this season's VEX IQ full volume robotics competition. Throughout the season, they garnered numerous accolades, including 3 Excellence Awards and 2 Skills Championships. Advancing to the South Carolina VEX IQ State Championship in Greenville, the Grinchbots clinched both the VEX IQ full volume teamwork championship and the Design Award. Their teamwork championship victory earned them the honor of representing Raiders Robotics, Beaufort County, and South Carolina at the VEX IQ World Championships in Dallas, Texas, scheduled for May 1st through the 4th. Here we have our members of the Green Girly Grinchbots, Lucy Mormon, Avery Lindberg, and Leah Nakravish, with their coach, Mr. Eric Mormon.
Okay, the River of Words cover art. River of Words is a collection of art and poetry by Beaufort County School District students. The complex ecology and peaceful beauty of the Port Royal Sound serves as the inspiration for this annual collection. Teachers and students take their learning beyond the classroom and become inspired by the environment. This year's book has over 200 works of art and poetry. Each year, one student's artwork is selected for the cover of the publication. And this year, H.E. McCracken Middle School student Kaylee Carter captured the essence of the Low Country. And here to introduce the cover artist and talk more about River of Words is Karen McKenzie, Director of Teaching and Learning. And welcome, Mr. Milling. I see you're here.
This year we had over 300 pieces of artwork submitted for the River of Words, which is phenomenal. It was a very tough decision. There were so many wonderful pieces. And from all of those, we selected Kaylee's through our jury to do it. Isn't it beautiful? And I think it's important to say that this is a community partnership with some partners around our district. This is over 10 years of having the River of Words. We're really proud of being able to produce this for our students, for our families, for our communities. And I think it's also important to note that this is the second time in 3 years that Tara Morris, the art teacher at H.E. McCracken, has produced our cover artist. So I think that says a lot about her tutelage in the classroom. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Milling now. Congratulations, Kaylee.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for having us again. As Ms. McKenzie has said, Ms. Morris is one of our shining lights at H.E. McCracken. I want to thank all of the partners that's listed with the Pat Conroy Foundation, Port Royal Sound, and Art Center of the Coastal Carolina. Also, our instructional division for our school district. There are a lot of things that we can pull and piece together, but keeping the arts at the center, along with the poetry and writing that goes into these, is very important. It helps emphasize the STEAM foundation that we have at H.E. McCracken. So thank you all, and congratulations to Kaylee.
Now, district athletics. We have few recognitions tonight as the basketball season wrapped up. And here to introduce coaches and players of the year is District Athletic Director, Coach Carlos Cave.
Good evening. It is again a pleasure for me to stand before you, representing athletics in Beaufort County. And tonight we want to celebrate our winter sports completion with our crown champions and coaches and players of the year. We're going to start with the young ladies, and the coach's choice, coach of the year, and I don't think she's in attendance tonight, is Miss D'Amica Taylor. She was selected by the coaches from the girls' side of the basketball bracket as the coach's choice coach of the year. So Ms. D'Amica Taylor, in her absence, I will be delivering this award to her. Our player of the year is from Hilton Head Island Middle School. I had the opportunity to see her play in the championship game, and without further ado, I'd like for her to come up. Player of the year for this basketball season, 23-24, is Miss Dominique Jones. And of course, the championship is not won without outstanding coaching. And the coach of the year and championship coach is Mr. Ronnie Beaufort, Hilton Head Middle. And now to the boys. Coach's choice, again, selected by his peers. Coach's choice coach of the year for the boys middle school 23-24 season is Mr. Oscar Frazier from H.E. McCracken Middle. Player of the year for the 23-24 basketball season, also from Hilton Head Island Middle School, is Mr. Ketis Smith. And our final award, again, we have the Player of the Year from Hilton Head Middle, and obviously he was coached by and led to the championship by this gentleman, and I have the honor of bringing him forward as the Coach of the Year, Mr. Ronald Lewis.
So that concludes our points of celebration this evening. I'll leave the last one on the agenda for our chair.
And I'll cover that under the chair report. So we do not have any first public comments, so now I'll go to the chair report. Oh. So April is the month of the military child. Military children face challenges and unique experiences as a result of their parents' service to our country. The Board of Education would like to celebrate the Beaufort County School District military children and recognize the sacrifices they make. Military families move, on average, every 2 to 3 years, impacting their children through changing schools and support networks. Purple is the official color of the military child. It is a combination of all the colors of the U.S. Armed Forces: Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard blues, Army green, and Marine Corps red. Thank you to our military children and families, and thank you for your confidence in trusting your children to the Beaufort County School District. Next on our agenda are the committee reports, and we'll start with academics. Chair Chloe Gordon reporting, and Chloe is online. Yes. You know what, Chloe, get a little closer to your microphone. I think we'll hear you better. Yeah. Hold on a second. We're going to unmute the TV that's close. Yeah, just, it's better with you closer to the microphone and just, I was going to say, project. Thank you, Ms. Boatwright.
Well, actually, what happened is they need to turn that up over there because she's put off a speaker, or maybe turn the speaker towards us.
No, if it's okay, can Mr.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Right.
Okay, I was going to say, well, if it's okay, Mr. Smith can give the report. We met last Wednesday, and the following ARs were read to us, and we approved them. Can't see them that well on the screen, but if Mr. Will Smith can read those ARs, they were, the committee approved these ARs, and we're bringing them before the board.
Okay. IS 17, the executive summary of HRS 17, SS 40, SS -39, SS-39, SS-16, SS-16, SS-40, ELA textbooks, and CTE textbook approval list.
That would be.
Oh, excuse me, my bad. Yeah, what's wrong? Excuse me, my bad.
Are there any questions to the board about these ARs?
Yes, Rachel Wisniewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question in regard to the health education changes that are redlined. The only new section of South Carolina code that is added to the back as reference is the one in regard to sexual extortion. But there was quite a number of changes, including, and it's also, I guess Gavin's law is the extortion one. But there was some other changes. So I'm just wondering, are the changes that are listed, for example, in Roman numeral 5, 6, and the like, are those also in reference to updates to South Carolina code and it just wasn't redlined in the references?
Dr. Wisniewski, I can't see them on my screen. I'm using my cell phone, but I'll be glad to.
Karen McKenzie
is
here too.
I'm saying Mrs. Kinsey's in it. Could you come forward, please? Thank you.
Oh, yes, okay, Ms. McKenzie, could you please answer that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Dr. Wisniewski, very good question. Gavin's law was added because that is legislation that we have to adhere to. And I think you had a question about section 4, 5, and 6. Those additions were made as well because of regulation changes from the state.
Thank you. That's
Just to keep us in compliance.
Thank you. They were very specific, so I figured they came from somewhere.
Very specific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Ms. Gordon, I would also add, just to also clarify if anyone have any questions, I did that, we did ask these questions, the question Mrs. Dr. Wineski did ask as well. They were very diligent on going over this stuff, from my standpoint with legal, so therefore, I'd like to thank our legal, but Mrs. Cartledge as well as the, Mrs., forgive my heart, my head, not my heart. Mr. McKenzie, that they all went over this together, and basically a majority of this stuff came from the state, so it wasn't really any wordsmithing in it, from my understanding. So and then this is a lot that changed, and it's a lot of stuff that they will be going over with the staff, from my understanding, at the next principals meeting, because there's a lot of changes that are going on. So just to let you know that those things would be the information will be given to the staff, because this is a lot in here that has been changed.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. If there are no more questions?
Let me just add to Ms. Gordon that just for the public that's listening or participating tonight, that these are administrative regulations, and so the board needs to be informed of these regulations, but we don't have to vote to approve them.
Correct. Thank you. All right, could we go on to the next one? I can't see the screen. So the ARs have been read, and the board we're in compliance, according to Ms. McKenzie. Thank you. The textbook adoptions, Mr. Smith, could you read those out for us, please?
Actually, at this time, Madam Chair, I move that the Beaufort County School District Board of Education approve the adoption of the textbook selection presented on April 2nd, 2024 for the English Language Arts, Careers, and Technical Education and Secondary Course Programs. Can I get a second?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boatwright. Do you want to elaborate, Ms. Gordon, or somebody from ISD?
Mrs. McKenzie, could you come forward, please, and give an update on that, and let us know how this list was compiled? Thank you.
Our secondary course programs, we had several that were up by the state for adoption. Our advanced placement world history teachers, and that's 9 through 12th grade, selected The Earth and Its People, which is done by National Geographic Cengage Corporation. Our Chemistry 1 teachers selected Inspire Science, which is by McGraw-Hill. Our Chemistry Honors teachers selected Introductory to Chemistry, which is also by McGraw-Hill. And our Chemistry Advanced Placement selected Chemistry by National Geographic Cengage Corporation. So we're really excited for our chemistry teachers. We really needed updated books there. And then on to physics, another area we needed. Our advanced placement physics teachers selected College Physics, Explore and Apply the AP Edition, and that is from Savas Learning Company. And our Physics 1 teachers selected Inspire Science Physics, McGraw-Hill.
Ms. Boatwright?
Speaking of updating, are we still using physical textbooks predominantly? Do they have a software component with them that we use in conjunction? Are there any groups that are using strictly a software version of text?
And that really goes along with IS 36, which is our administrative regulation on textbook adoptions. If the state provides us an option to have both, we take both. And that's typically what they'll do. If there is a print version and a digital version, they will offer us both, and we take both. We just do that because it's not always something that teachers go step by step anymore, but it's a great resource to have in that classroom. But yes, not all of them are digital, but if they are, we get it.
Have a follow-up? Does the state not provide any software exclusive options, especially for like AP, IB, college level?
Now, for things like AP, we do have College Board, which is typically just an online resource for our teachers, but the state looks at both online and print resources.
Dr. Wisniewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see on the CTE and the ELA, there's a response rate. Is there a response rate component for the secondary slideshow the slide deck?
Absolutely, and I apologize I did not include that for you. We don't have as many teachers teaching chemistry and physics, but our chemistry was at 89%, our physics was at 100%, and world history was at 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are there any more questions?
Ms. Gilbert, do you?
Ms. Gilbert, do you have anything to add on the CT?
Just as the summary requested, and good evening, board members, we had 7 content areas up for adoption. Of those, we had 30 teachers that responded, 30 teachers that were teaching these courses, and of those, we had 26 responses for an 86% rate, and it expanded across personal finance, accounting, welding, sports medicine, marketing, and culinary. And we also had 1 middle school title that was state adopted for our state course called Intro to Career Clusters. So these are the courses that you have in front of you that the teachers reviewed and selected. So it was for a total of 13 titles for your approval.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add or say?
So we can go ahead and vote?
Yes.
Okay. The motion is already on the table. Can you display it, Robin? It's kind of small, but yeah. Can you make it bigger or no? All right. I can read it. Let me just read it aloud. I move that the Beaufort County School District Board of Education approve the adoption of the textbook selections presented on April 2, 2024 for English language arts, career and technical education, and secondary course programs. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. And online?
Middleton, aye. Hay, aye.
Ms. Gordon has her hands up saying aye. I think her mic's just muted.
Yep. All right, so the motion carries unanimously. Ms. Gordon, yeah, I think you just unmuted. Thank you.
Definitely thank Ms. McKenzie and her staff and Dr. Scranstones for all that they've done with this rare. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for the academics, I believe. Yeah.
Thank you. So next, reporting, we have finance with Chair Colonel Geyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee met on March 14th. I'm going to give you a meeting summary. Ms. Tanya Crosby presented the following reports. The monthly Board of Education report that shows that the board budget is under budget for half of the year at 42.4% expended. We also received the monthly $100,000 report for the month of January and the transparency report for the month of January. We found some minor questions in the report, all of which were answered completely. Ms. Denise Matson provided the ESSER dashboard that shows that we continue to be on the positive glide slope to meet and spend all of the ESSER funds by the end of the fiscal year, federal fiscal year of 30 September of this year. Any questions on the dashboard? None? We'll go on. Ms. Crosby presented us a very comprehensive report, cost report for every school in the district. I really encourage board members to take a look at it. There's a lot of data on there. We've included in your handouts a draft of a spreadsheet, 2 drafts of a spreadsheet that put the data compiled a bit for you to take a look at it. This is a draft only. It has not been verified that all the mathematics were done correctly, and I'm asking the staff to do that. But also would ask the board to take a look at both of these spreadsheets, and I think it will bring up some requests for additional information to highlight some of the findings in the report. It's a really excellent thing for the board to take a look at before we start into budget discussions in the next couple months. Mr. Campbell, you have anything you want to say about that? Okay. Any questions on that, Ms. Boatwright?
I understand that the math hasn't all been checked, but I did, because it threw me off. Early childhood centers, Hilton Head Island Early Childhood Center, cost per pupil $16,531. Davis Early Childhood Center, $10,693. When I did the math, though, which is the total cost divided by the enrollment, I got $20,000 and change for Davis Early Childhood.
Yeah, that's.
Would that come up already?
That's one of the issues in the report. We have to check the math. Yep.
You want to?
Good evening. A few years ago, we consolidated Well Branch Elementary School with James J. Davis Elementary. So all of the administration and administrative costs are all budgeted at and the teacher primarily are coded to the elementary school. So under Code 54, which is Well Branch Elementary. So generally, fewer costs are coded directly to the school. They may be energy, so we track per square footage and at various costs like that. So there are some separations of the cost because of that consolidation of the 2 schools as one. So that may be the case in some of the other sites. Defusky is another example of that as well.
That answers your question.
So I guess my question then is, are you saying that...
Ingrid, can you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Getting organized. Okay, so just to be clear, so you're saying, and this just, the numbers didn't add up when I was glancing through it, but so Davis Early Childhood, you have the total cost is $1,940,112. Is that the correct cost? Because if you divide that by 96, you get 20,000. So if you're saying that the actual cost of Davis is much less than that, I'm just not sure which number, because it's just a math.
I did not prepare this document. Mr. Geyer actually prepared it, so I would have to go back and look at the...
That's why I'm saying it's a draft. We have to confirm the
And I
numbers.
wouldn't have had a follow-up question. I just didn't understand what she was saying with the administration, if she was saying that the 10,000 is correct in the number, so that's why I was trying to get clarity on.
I'll go back and take a look at the costs. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Wisniewski?
Yeah, just 2 things that I wanted to point out that jumped out to me. One is under the early childhood centers. Bluffton Elementary has an early childhood center as well, so it's a separate facility on the site. So that one, I don't know if that's included in Bluffton Elementary's numbers up here. So there's the ECC, and then there's the elementary school. The other thing that I'd be interested in knowing, because I do see the asterisk for the Title I schools, I think it's important that we delineate our schools that offer the intensive special education services, because I believe those are clustered at a specific site, and that can very much impact funding.
Yes.
That is correct.
And that's one of the additional columns that we put it on. Also, these costs do not reflect the Title I and the special revenues costs. So that needs to be added onto it as well. These are just general fund costs. Okay.
And then also, I know for I believe for Davis early childhood, I believe that we also have we have programs in those schools. So I know that those schools do make us some type of revenue as well, because I know they do pay fees for being in those schools. So I guess we would want to understand how that works as well into going into what numbers that we're giving, because there's always money coming out, money is going in too. So we can just understand how that works. Appreciate that to have that as well. Thank you.
Okay. The next item is Administrative Regulation SS 42, District Wellness. And it's about proper nutrition education, physical activity, and we took a look at that. And the changes are marked in red. I believe it's mostly for state, as a result of state policies. Okay. Not a motion on that. The next item was the OE 5-1, which is the fund balance policy. And we sent a motion to send it to the policy committee to look at changing the policy amount for fund balance. And basically, what we're looking at is having the fund balance amount be sufficient to not require an annual tax anticipation note every year. But that goes to the policy committee.
Did you have a recommendation?
We make that's what we have it.
Robin will get it to me.
I'm sure she will. Okay. Next item is good news. Ms. Crosby, would you come up, and I'd like you to give the good news, since oftentimes you come up with bad news.
I'd like to talk about the good news. I assume you're referring to the tax revenues. Yes, sir. So as of January 31st, our local tax collections, both in operations and in debt service, are very healthy at this point at January 31st. In both categories, we're at 98%, this should be local tax revenues. The county treasurer uses the term collections as a collection rate. We generally use revenues as a percentage of our budget. So it's revenues received as a percentage of our budget. And so 98.1% in the operations category, which means we have received 192.3 million so far. And debt is at 98.0% at 90 million. Our debt service payments are in the $87 to $90 million expenditures per year. So these do exceed. I've provided two other columns, and they do exceed the previous years, and so we're in very good shape. Do want to caution, though, we are in a reassessment year, so there could be some appeals, could be some refunds, and so we're watching those each month very closely. We receive the revenue information at the end of the month following the month of collections. So we are in April, so at the end of April, we'll receive up-to-date information as of March 31st.
Questions from the board? if you look at the 92, or the 2019 numbers, that was the last reassessment year. And that was not a good year for us, but this year, it looks like we're going to be in healthy shape. Thanks.
Yes, and this will only help us in our budget for building the budget for next year in the local and
Yes,
tax revenue area.
Exactly. Madam Chair, that
I had a question not in regard to the revenue collection, so don't worry about it, honey. I don't think I'll need you. It was actually, I wanted to go back to the very first item. I missed it. My apologies. It's on the BOE budget. I was looking through it and we don't typically have big conversations surrounding it, but the tech purchase services and licenses, we have an allocated budget of $80,000. And that's one of the largest areas of budgeting that we have for the board. And I'm just wondering, historically, has that been used and what has it been used for? Because there's got to be a reason for the number. It's just super high, I feel. And it could go to something more useful, perhaps. Do we want to look into it at another time?
we'll look into it and bring it up at the next Finance Committee meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Colonel Guyer. Next, we have operations, and that's Chairman Carlton Dallas reporting. Thank you.
Okay, to bring everyone up to speed, on February 24th, the Operations Committee members asked the District Finance and Operations Department to take a look at providing further analysis on the topic of bringing the custodial, services in-house. We then met on March 12th, an Operations Committee meeting. Staff presented an updated financial cost analysis that provided a comprehensive comparative look at school district and outsourced companies' costs. Proud to say that both Mr. Otting and CFO Crosby presented feedback from her meeting with Professor Peter Swift, who is a Brown and Harvard-trained business economist from the University of South Carolina, to evaluate the methodology. One of the concerns we had is when you're looking at an in or out decision, we always want our efforts and methodology to be defensible to anyone coming in from outside and questioning how was it done. So that feedback from Professor Swift was very positive. He felt the methodology and assumptions looked thorough and reasonable, so he gave his stamp of approval. And one of the things that was also discussed by Ms. Crosby and Mr. Otting is to look at what potential unforeseen challenges could occur. So you do some alternatives of what if this happens. So that worked out very well. And so when you look at the presentation that's there, you'll see that the recommendation is to continue to outsource. The dollars, the savings are overwhelming in support of that. But we also wanted to make sure that from a qualitative perspective, that there were some improvements in the way the contract is done, so that we can make sure that the administrations and the schools are a little bit happier with how it has progressed. Mr. Ney made a recommendation that we bring this before the board for approval to enable the operations department to go out to bid for continued outsourcing. 2 vendors, yeah. Mr. Otting, would you like to come in and supplement something, sir? You did a lot of work as well as Ms. Crosby.
I think you did a fabulous job. I'll just be glad to answer any questions anybody has.
Ms. Boatwright? And then Dr. Wisniewski.
So, apparently they don't want me to speak. So I have concerns about, continuing to outsource services like custodial. I understand the financials, but I think one thing is, and this is information you got from me, it really comes down to benefits in a lot of ways. 6 of our current custodial employees are taking the insurance offered. There are 3 insurance companies offered one of which has a $5,000 deductible. The other two are really not even insurance products. So what we can say, and I can't remember, I was trying to find off the top of my head, that we have 200 custodial workers. Does that sound about right? Yeah. And there's probably some percentage of them that get insurance through the military, maybe through a spouse, maybe veterans benefits. But I think we can safely assume the bulk of our custodial staff do not have healthcare insurance. So the problem is, and that's a huge expense. And obviously, if we bring it in-house, that's a huge expense. But I think we have to be realistic. If we're going to continue to have custodial staff, maintenance staff, et cetera, that do not have access to quality health care, we have to be realistic about what we can expect from that custodial staff, because there's a lot of research that shows that education level, work, jobs, et cetera, correlate to higher levels of uncontrolled blood pressure, asthma, arthritis. And we also, I think I read in here 5 days of sick day per year. So they're not able to take those sick days off. So they're going to be working and they're not going to feel great. They're going to have issues that are going to impact their job performance. So as we demand more and more, a higher level of service from the custodial workers, I think that is a huge factor. I think also we have to think about the impact to the community as a whole. Who is taking care of our workforce if they don't have any access to health care? So those are concerns I have. I understand the financial. I'm not prepared to, I'm going to abstain from this vote because I have not been as in-depth in the conversations. But I think realistically, when we do these comparisons and we're looking at 200 people getting high-quality health care and dental and a 401k and long-term disability, and we compare them to people who don't have access to those things and say, well, that's not an apples-to-apples comparison. So I think there are also, one thing with the Charleston I noticed is that they have that they get a fine, or however they put it, they get dinged if they drop below 100% of staffing. That's going to be impactful if we try to, I don't know if we're talking about doing something like that. That's going to raise the cost. So like I said, I am going to abstain, but I think we can think about is there something we can do, partner with Beaufort County, Access Health, Volunteers in Medicine, where I work, full disclosure, to make sure that our custodial and maintenance workers, if they don't have access to healthcare and they're not getting access to some of these medications, diabetic medications in particular, are very expensive, but there are a lot of community organizations that can help. I just think we need to think a little bit about having a healthy workforce, especially if we're going to expect the kind of service that we're expecting from them.
Dr. Wisniewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank the Operations Committee and all the staff that put in the work on this, because this is a very comprehensive discussion and presentation that talks about and lays forth the changes to the contract structure, which is something I don't think that I've ever seen come out of a committee. And I think that's going to be really beneficial to strengthening the contract and making the private outsourced contract much stronger for us. When I think about these conversations, I think about what's our main charge, and that's to educate students. I would much prefer to put our operational budget dollars towards teachers and students and things that are going to lead to academic outcomes. And I think that doing this work will make the outsourced contract stronger in the future. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith?
I definitely have some concerns about this because and actually I'll just piggyback off what Dr. Wisniewski just said. And actually I'll thank Mr. Carlton Dallas, because that's the one person who who asked for this intense report. I guess he connected dots with some, I guess, the people from university or something, with Mr. Outing and Mrs. Crosby, for them to come together and figure out how to get this all holistic approach with all the information and data that we have in this packet. So just kudos to him for leading that charge. But within itself, I go back to what Mrs. Boatwright says exactly. Even as a board member, a lot of people come to me and the custodians, they talk about want to be a part of the district in terms of the health benefits, because contract works does not give them health benefits. And they're like, they would like to be a part of the district. And also, when you look at in terms of hiring them to be a part of the district, and then the people who administration or principals would hire, those people, they take a different approach, and they take more pride and what is going on in the building. They take more ownership of your stuff. So to me, it's not really just need versus want. Is you pay for what you get. If we want to pay for if we want to pay for contract workers, then we're gonna get contract help. And we have to understand that we can't require these people when the district is giving out bonuses to our staff. We can't require them to work the same level as our staff do, because technically speaking, those people, they don't work for the district; they work for the contractor. And so there's a lot of gray areas in terms of how the district is involved in the contractor, what we can and cannot do. What there's a bunch of gray area. I think that we should take precaution, but mostly importantly, let's not forget that these are some of the same people who we go out at bomb referendum after bomb referendum, which has been our second bomb referendum. These people are community members. So are we saying that we value when one colleague just want to tell me that we put education? No, we have to treat everyone equal and fair in terms of. We want them to work, but we have to pay them, because these are the same people who we go out for bond referendums and we ask them to support the bond. On one bill, I'm asking you to support a bond on this hand, but I'm telling you, you're not important enough, and I don't value enough to pay you more money to bring you in house to be a staff member to take ownership in this county. So to me, our message is kind of from my perspective, and people can disagree with me. Everybody has opinions, and they're entitled to them. But it's disingenuous a little bit. And I've had several custodians who have time after time said, when y'all gonna stop getting all these companies? Y'all bought the buses back. Why can't y'all bring the custodians back? We want to come back. We want benefits. We need it. So I mean, so that's just some of my concerns, and that I've been getting, that I will not support this, because one can't be greater than the other. So the community has to come first, the same way the students do as well. These are these kids' grandparents, grandmas, aunts, and uncles who are custodians in our district. We have to value them all. We can't just value one. Can't take the cow without the calf.
So can I ask a couple questions or comments here? So I noticed also what Ingrid Boatwright noticed is that the huge difference between in-house versus a contractor is the benefits, just enormous difference. And I think and I hope that our Beaufort County School District employees realize they've got amazing benefits. You don't get those in the private sector. I can tell you that as a business owner. So if you look at the in-house versus contract, so it looks like if they were in-house, their benefits are more than what their salary is going to be, correct? And yet if you go through a contract service, outsource it, their benefit cost is greatly reduced and their salary is increased significantly.
Well, that's exactly correct. I mean, what we were saying, if you had the same, we just used $50,000. If you're going to spend the $50,000 per employee, the difference is the bulk of that's going to go for benefits if it's in-house, as compared to if it's out-of-house, the employee would get a much higher salary and much lower benefits. So
right. So it's probably going to vary based on that individual employee in terms of whether they want a higher salary and less benefits, or vice versa. I mean, somebody obviously young and healthy is going to want a higher salary and less benefits, and somebody who's nearing the end of their working career as a custodian is going to have a desire to have higher benefits and perhaps a lower salary. So I think the big take home from this, to me, looking at this, was there's a huge difference in benefits. And so you can have top-of-the-line benefits and a lower salary, or vice versa. And that's what it comes down to.
Yes. Can I respond
Yes,
briefly?
sure.
Okay. So part of what the team looked at is that binary options of, as you're saying, this is a cash now society. I think a couple of months ago when I first joined the board, there was an offering of benefits, and the employees had an opportunity to say we want a higher salary or we wanted benefits. And they tended to surprise us because they chose cash now. So what the team tried to do was to reward the employees, the contractors, the contractors, so that they could have a higher take home. And we also, one of the things that we've learned over the career is the number one reason a person leaves a job is not pay. It's not benefits either. It is the interaction between that person and their supervisor. And what you'll see in this contract is we've tried to induce the contractors to treat their people better. One of the feedback points was we needed to have the administrators involved so that they take ownership and feel that they're helping. We have to, and Ms. Crosby and Mr. Otting have done a wonderful job of going outside and looking at what the competition looks like. I think a good job has been done to actually put in mechanics in the contract where there is motivation to treat the contractors better. And so what we're hoping is we can go with this contract and see how it works in the near term. It's different from what we've had before. It was produced by in-house with oversight from external parties. And then that will give us more information to say, here's how we can tweak it at the next iteration. But we're losing ESSER funds. And, you know, this is a tight time in our country, very unsettling time. And we were looking at being very conservative in terms of cash commitments and push that, allow the contractor to take that and work with us to treat the contractors very well. So that was our thinking.
And you said that it would go out for bid for at least 2 contracts? Yes.
To that, Mr. Harding?
Yes, I mean, the last page on here, I believe, shows you some of the things we're looking at as far as contract changes. And if I can just say, the conversation y'all are having today is the same conversation in general in committee, because it's a tough conversation to have, and there are things you want to do, but maybe there's not the funding there to support it. And so what you see on there are the changes that we're looking at for the new contract, which includes, yes, we'd like to do 2 vendors primarily so we can compare how they're doing. And if we're having one that struggle, it'll make it easier to move the other one to that's doing well, possibly to pick that up. The other thing that you see on there, as you were saying, Ms. Boatwright, we did look at what Charleston was doing, and many of the things that they're very pleased with their custodial service right now. Many of the things that they've enacted are things that we're putting in here, and some of those are the penalties, so that they have to maintain 100% staffed. They have to have floating staff members so that they can ensure they're 100% staffed when people are out or need to be out. Some of the other things is that we're going to focus more on night custodians, because that's one thing we kept hearing over and over is you can't clean during the day. There needs to be custodians there during the day that are able to to help out in the cafeteria and take the trash out of the restrooms and things of that nature, but you really have to focus on the nighttime. And we're looking at increasing that and increasing that supervision as well to ensure that there's people there that supervise. And we've also put in items to promote interaction with the administrative staff, have a head day custodian, a head night custodian, and that the administrative staff will actually be involved in their hiring, or they'll have to approve their hiring. The administrative staff would also have to look at approving any movement of staff. If they need to go sub somewhere else, they'll have to check with the principal before they allow that to happen. Those are all things we heard from other districts that were successful in other districts, so we've incorporated that. And there are a few others as well, but that's kind of the oversight of everything we're looking at to do a little different.
The only thing I wanted to clarify is when they looked at 50,000, that was an arbitrary number.
Yeah.
If we, it's not that.
Yes.
What we're
Exactly.
talking about is if we were to bring it back in-house, we would have to, it would be a huge budget hit. And I understand that. What I am concerned about though, and Dr. Wisniewski has a point, we don't want to take money out of academic achievement, but I do think some of these services do have an impact. Security, we contract, maintenance, and I'll tell you what, my kids sat many a day in a room without air conditioning and it impacts learning. The bathrooms being, a disaster. We have excellent custodians in Hilton Head High School, so that I can speak to that. I'm not criticizing, and I respect these folks tremendously and think they do a good job. And that's part of what I'm saying here is I want to make sure we're doing the best job we can for them. We also are on a trend of contracting out more and more, including paraprofessionals. And I had a lot of people, teaching assistants that spoke to me and said, I took this job for the benefits. I didn't need the money, I needed the benefits, and that's no longer an option. To me, it's a worrisome trend. I understand the budget, but I think that's the conversation as we go forward. We need to think about is what are our expectations and what realistically can we achieve? And I would point out that there are schools like Greenville County with 76,000 students, I don't know how many students, they have their custodians in-house. So what are they doing? And then to finalize, I am going to abstain because I don't understand this well enough. And I defer to Mr. Dallas and you in terms of, I don't have a deep dive on this yet. But I'm raising a red flag of Beaufort County School District should attract the kind of employees and we should take care of those employees with, good benefits. Sorry, my son's calling. But I do think that there are a lot of services in the community. We see this on Hilton Head. We have the food service workers, the hotels, the housekeeping. We have a lot of people that don't have access to health care. And we have a lot of people that have insurance that can't find a doctor too, since there's that problem. But I think it's going to continue to increase. And so there may be some solutions that if we can't right now adjust the budget, to bring our contracted service back in-house. Can we look at working with our partners? We've got Novant Healthcare coming in with some excellent community service outreach. I know Beaufort Memorial has some. There are programs that will help people get medications. If they meet 300% of the federal poverty level, and a family of four can make almost $60,000 and qualify for substantially reduced or free insulin. So I just think that it's something we need to be aware of. I would like to see the trend of continuing to outsource rather than raising the millage be discussed more fully. That's not for this moment right now. And then, like I said, I think that this is a giving community and there may be some good options that we can kind of find a middle road.
Mr. Cameron, Ms. Gordon has their hand up.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you. I've been listening to all of my colleagues who are making some great points here tonight. I received a phone call before the meeting, and custodials are concerned that during the spring break, I believe, yes, that they will not get paid according to what they're telling me from the company. And so I would like for this committee, our committee, to look into that, if you will, Mr. Carlton, and see what that is about. Because we are talking about custodials, and we're talking about people who work for our district. And the time and energy that they put in morning, noon, and night to make sure our facilities are good to go, we need to do as much. I know there's a cost behind bringing in the benefits, but there's a cost to anything that is good. And if we relook at this and, look at some numbers, I think we can come up with a palatable solution for this, department of ours. They are part of Beaufort County School District. Whether they're outsourced or not, they work with us and for us. So I would like for us to look into this non-payment during spring break, and also making sure that we, as Ms. Boatwright eloquently put it, I don't think I can vote on this tonight either as it is written, but I do understand the content. Thank you.
So, Robert, would you like to respond?
Yes, one of the things that I didn't mention that we're looking to add to the contract is, for future contracts, is we're going to dedicate, just like the school district, 180 and 260 employees. So like the head custodians would be 260, so basically if we're working administrative office, they will be working. And also the 180s, if teachers are working, they will be working. So we're going to, because as Ms. Gordon said, that's a problem over spring break. We've also heard that problem in the summer. So to address that, we've added that to what we're looking at in this proposal to ensure that if we're working, but they would be off, like a 180 would be off during spring break like teachers. But there would be the 260 to ensure that the head custodians are in every building all the time. So, because every building has administrative staff that have to be over, during spring break, so.
Thank you. Earl?
Yes. Mr. Harding, if we go out for a bid, can we ask the contractor to include benefits in the contract?
Yes, we do it this time, actually. We require them to offer benefits. Now, it's up to the employee to decide to take them, because there is a portion the employee has to pay to take them. So they're required today, and they will be required in future contracts to offer benefits.
Now, I don't know about the contract we have now, but I know in the past, the contractors did give out bonus in the past. I don't know about now, So, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Just to, from my understanding, the contractors did not, this company did not give out bonuses during the whole time when we were out for COVID, because I had plenty of my constituents who came to me and responded and said that. So just to answer that, but also just to go back, the one of my questions are, have we even looked at doing a pilot in terms of transitioning, maybe seeing how much of them may want to be a part of the district, and start with them, because we have to start somewhere. Because see, what we've been doing for the last couple of years that I've been on this board, we've been talking around this, and we've been talking in circles. So at some point, in some way, we have to get this process started. So I think that we should look at bringing, maybe we brought half of them on, or we brought the people who would be interested in the benefits on, and bring them as district employees. That would start some movement, and we could then see what that looked like. Because for instance, we have the maintenance. When we talk about there being contract, it bothers me when we contract maintenance out, but heck, we provide them the vehicles. So why that question comes to me? Why are we giving them vehicles and stuff to drive if they contract us? I'm just trying to figure out. I can't fathom how our taxpayers would feel knowing that we provide maintenance with the vehicles, but they're contracted out. So my thing is, have we looked at, if we started out, if we offered the option that people who would want to be a part of the district to start as a trial, what that would look like, and what that would cost us. So therefore, we would have half of it. So you said y'all want to get 2 people, or y'all want to get 2 contractors. So we bring half of them in as district employees, and then we do half of them on contracts who may not want to have the benefits. So that would be a start. That I would be more comfortable with possibly moving forward. But as in this right here, from a couple of my colleagues, I'm almost interested in tabling this until we get that done, because I think that would be the right thing to do, just to show that community that we are doing our due diligence, as was stated in the operations committee, that we wanted to do it thoroughly, and we wanted to make sure that we've tried everything that we could try. So I think that is something that we could also do. And then also, I think I heard someone said that we don't have the money. No, we have the money, but we have to make decisions on where we want the money to go. So it's not that Beaufort County is one of the richest districts in the state of South Carolina. So let's not say that we don't have the money, because we do have the money. The question is, where do we want the money to go, and how do we want to make best utilization of our money in terms of our community, in terms of our citizens, in terms of standing on principle, and being equitable and fair and objective. That's what I'm putting up.
So,
Mr. Dawes.
yeah, so I appreciate all the humanity that's being shown by my colleagues. This is what, a $300 million business we're running? Where are you going to get the $5 million from? Let me answer that, okay? The reason you create a school district is not to hire maintenance mechanics. It is like what she said, Dr. Wisniewski, we have to raise our scores. What we tried to do was allow you to pivot and devote money towards educating students and raising scores. That's what will continue to make Beaufort County preeminent in the state of South Carolina, and also moving forward to being preeminent in the whole nation. So what we've learned and what we talked about is that, again, the most important thing is how you treat your employees. And we've wrapped things in here that actually will encourage the contractor to actually employ enough people so that the employees aren't strapped. Because what I hear in the 14 months I've been on the board is that they're being asked to do extra overtime in short notice, those types of things. That's what we're trying to address. So what we did was we considered a lot of options, a lot of alternatives. And it's not that we're not caring. Nothing could be further from the truth. But we're trying to give them cash now, because even in my short period, I've seen where the employees at this particular income level prefer cash over something that's in the future. So that's all we've tried to do. So if some of the other committee members want to comment, I'm happy to listen.
Actually, I just in response to me, I hear what you're saying, but no, in all fairness, I remember a couple of months ago when we were talking about I think it was the last budget session, when we were just to bring maybe help bring our some clarity to us, when we were talking about the different employees in terms of how we were going to take the $5,000 the $5,000 bonus, and how we were going to break it up, and we were going to put it into the teachers' retirement versus just giving them the $5,000 for right now, because overall that would be better for them to have. So I asked my colleagues the same thing. Okay, so overall, if it would be better, if we made it say, even though some employees said that they wanted it now, but I remember the board saying that no, well, even though they want it, we're going to go with what the board made a vote to go basically to split half of that up and put some of it into a process in terms putting it into their actual salary. That's not correct, Dr. I see you shaking. That's not correct.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I know the conversation was there, and I know that we talked about that, about putting how we were going to transition some of that into the salary. I believe that we did put some of it into the salary. We did talk about making that transfer, or in terms of changing that up, because we used to give them $5,000 bonuses. We used to give them $250 at one time, and then $250 another time. Now that's not happening. So I know that some of that bonus is going into their regular retirement and right into the regular salaries. So with that being said, the same thing applies here. A steady giving the custodians a higher pay, give some of them the option that they want to get the insurance, then let's make that available, because that's what some of them need. If we value them to help them out over a long range of time, then why not do the same thing for our custodians? That's the first thing. The second thing is this, and I'm gonna be done. There's also a gray area when we keep talking about these contractors and administration and actually, technically speaking, I've been told, and also I've been made aware that some administrators do meet with custodians, and they do talk with custodians and the custodians supervisors, and sometimes that doesn't go good. So the same thing that we're proposing, some of that stuff is already happening. So it brings more concerning to me because also that's a great area because now our administration is getting into something, and I won't even go into the legality of things of our administrative are not getting into contract work, our contractor workers, and our contractor work can say some other things. So, you know, we have to be very cognizant on how we involve administration into this contract work. So, I mean, I just want to put that out there.
All right, I'm going to call the question because I think we've had plenty of discussion. Okay, is it something new or to add to our discussion? Go ahead.
You know, we're talking about bringing in the house or contractor. But you got to understand one thing, we never address this. If you bring it in the house, you bring part of it in the house, you got to buy equipment, and equipment costs. I can tell you that right now. And we haven't addressed that. So where are we going to get that money from? So that's just my, thank you.
Okay, so that was new information. All right, Mr. Dallas, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I move that the Beaufort County School District entertain a motion to accept the recommendation made by the Operations Committee on April 2nd, 2024, to continue to take the contract to bid and continue to outsource.
All right, do I have a second?
Madam Chair, I'd like to table that motion. If I can get a second, I'd like to table the motion until we get them to go back out to possibly split up the have half of it district staff and half of it contractor. If I can get a second to entertain that motion, because is there immediate exigent emergency for us to get this done tonight?
If we're going to move forward, we have to start the bidding process.
Talking to the mic, please.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, thank you. Yes, there is, it's not an emergency, but we need to get on this because if we delay, then the process of bidding is going to be hampered quite substantially.
I would just add, once the bidding has concluded, once new contractors are selected, then the process of onboarding employees with a new contractor has to take time, just like we did with school food services before. So the window is an important window. You've got a shortened summer, and you've got, certainly spring break in the middle there and that kind of thing. So whatever the decision is, it's important to note.
All right, since there's not a second on to table, is there a second on the motion that Carlton Dallas made? Okay, Victor Nay, second that. All right, so all those in favor of the motion, as Mr. Dallas just spoke, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And then if we can go online.
Hey, aye.
Okay, Gordon, okay, hey, aye, Gordon, aye.
Middleton, aye.
Okay, so all three online. Any nays?
No.
Okay. And any abstentions? Okay, so the motion carries, let's see, 10, is it 10?
911.
911, correct.
911 call.
Okay,
Excuse me, Madam Chair, this time I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that we have the operations committee to do a study to see how much it would cost to bring part of it in-house to the district. In terms of if not this year, well, in terms of the 20 next year will be.
I don't think we can have that motion because the board's will has approved what Mr. Dallas said.
Yes, it does, because
Well, sir, that's my ruling as the chair. You can't now say, we just agreed or voted and approved doing the outsource, i.e. contract with 2 bids. So now you can't say, well, now we're going to switch it to 50% in-house and 50% out-house.
I'm not saying switch it. I'm not saying switch it. Okay, if you're going to put out a contract, then that contract goes for a year. You have a time frame. So I'm saying do the homework. So whether the following year or not, then if that's what the board wants to do, then we have the information of it. I'm saying bring us back the information in terms of how much it would cost. I'm asking to do a study the same way they bought us the study from today. I'm just asking them to do us another study.
Point of order.
Yeah.
This is, you can't, that motion to table failed, so you're bringing the same motion. You can't bring a failed motion back up. It's the same motion that just failed on the tabling.
I'll take that.
Yeah. I'll take that. All right. Mr. Dallas, does that conclude your operations report?
Yes, ma'am, and I'd like to thank the board for the honest conversation.
All right. Next up, we have the technology report with Chairman Ingrid Boatwright.
Okay, hold on to your hats. No, we had a meeting, and I will say, as a chair of the meeting, I take full responsibility for this. It was not a very productive meeting, because what we're trying to do in technology is to really get our hands around utilization of technology and purchasing decisions. So we have made some progress. We now have a comprehensive list of the software that the district uses, and we have engaged in some discussions. Mark Shohan and Colleen Beck-Unvarsky are going to be bringing forward in May, once the budgeting season over, I think some really interesting processes that we'll be looking at. So not much to report from the last meeting. Mr. Ney, would you like to add anything? Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, Dr. Rodriguez, I think we're down to your superintendent's report.
Sure, thank you. This evening, under superintendent's report, under student achievement, we're going to talk about instructional framework and some research-based components and best practices of instructional framework. Dr. Stratos, I think, was online. I don't know if she has anything to add at this time, but she has staff that are here as well, so to guide us through the presentation. But Dr. Stratos, did you have anything to add? Seeing a muted microphone, we're going to move forward. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Tonight, Nicholas and I are bringing forward the instructional framework. We have been working on this as a district team for a while, and we now have it to a place where we're ready to share it with you. We're going to do a basic overview tonight, but we will go deeper at a later time, so we understand all the components of it. First of all, we had a lot of opportunities over the last couple of years with our instructional reviews, our DataCom meetings, things like that, to really look at what do we need instructionally in Beaufort County to help us move forward. We set some rationale for putting an instructional framework in place. High expectations, effective planning that's evidence-based, using evidence-based strategies, instructional practices that provide that high level of rigorous tasks for all students. So that was where we started. We ended up looking at Marzano's, the art and science of teaching. That framework that you're looking at has 3 overarching categories: feedback, which is a loop between the teacher and the student; content; and context. What am I learning and how am I learning it? It also has 10 design areas below that, and you'll see there's 4 under content, there's 4 under context, there's 2 under feedback. Under each one of those are 43 design elements, and this is where it really gets exciting for our teachers. Right now, teachers know their content, they're doing their planning, and they need those strategies that they know are going to work with students. Right now, they're having to dig, find those. This is going to have it where it's available to them. The format that we're using makes it really easy for them to go in and click, find all these strategies that they can use to work with students. You can see some of them are like chunking, bubble diagrams, being able to have error reasoning of your logic. How did I get to this conclusion? Marzano's work is based in a lot of research. Instructional strategies stand alone as well as they do as a group. So you can use one of the strategies That works. Or you can use them as a group. That works. Also, they did a standard mean difference there. So they looked at different groups and looking for a minimal difference in outcome there. They looked at 2 variables assessed, and they tried to put very little input into that to see whether or not, is it the strategy that's helping the kids learn? Is it that change? And then we looked at focusing our learner on engagement, and this is really a roadmap to what we're looking for. The instructional framework is a coaching model, not an evaluative model. And when I first started talking about it, I said this was a team effort. The way this all started was when we looked at this. We already have an evaluative model in the state of South Carolina that we must use, the 4.0 rubric. A group of us from ISD, along with our executive directors, sat down and said, is this going to be one more thing for our teachers if we do this? Or is it the same? We were able to connect all 43 of the elements on Marzano's platform with our current 4.0 rubric. So that was very important for us. Also, teacher outcomes. What are our teacher outcomes? Raising their level of knowledge, raising their level of practice. And most importantly, what are our student outcomes? What's the impact on academic achievement, and what's the impact on our overall students' development? I'm going to turn it over to Nick to tell you how we're going to observe all this.
So the great thing about this is that as it's rolled out and everything, we'll be able to have it collected, and the data that's collected from having those that are observing fill out a form will be able to be tabulated and put into a dashboard so that those that are collecting the data can see the results at the conclusion of kind of that visit, and we can get a pulse on the district in live time and drilling it down to the school. So as you can see, there's kind of pictured, that is test data to kind of get the flavoring of what the possibilities are for people, but taking the 10 design areas that were originally shown and then be able to get data collected there by having it being evident, somewhat evident, very evident, or not observed as they go through, so we can collect that and then compile it and view it in different ways. The nice thing about doing a dashboard like this, we can also go back and add other ways to dissect the data based on conversations. So then, in summary of all of this work then, the key thing is that this will allow us to measure the learner engagement within the various learning environments that happen across the district. So that way we are really able to tailor this back to what are our students doing, how are they engaging with the content as we correlate it to student achievement. This directly connects to our accreditation process of that continuous improvement that's embedded with the work that we do with Cognia on that accreditation aspect of it. It will allow us to tailor into specific supports for our schools, really being able to hone in on patterns, trends to ensure that we're getting that rigorous instruction taking place and that our framework is able to be customized to meet the needs of the teachers depending on where they are in the district to overarching to the student achievement aspect. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. We got lots. We'll just go around. Dallas, Wisniewski, Geyer, then we'll go over here. Oh.
Yes, you want to go?
No.
Okay, so as a newbie, one of the things I was really pleased and thankful to the ISD group for, and Ms. Cushingberry, they actually gave me about 7 or 8 copies of the books that are being provided. And I can tell you, these books are different from what I grew up on, See Dick Run, See Jane Throw the Ball. They are preparing our kids to compete in a super competitive world. And I think as much as it's new to us and new to me, but once I went through it and saw how it takes a kid from one point to another, it made all the sense in the world. And their thinking and their critical thinking skills, problem processing, are just leap years ahead of what most of us will remember. And what these books do is they actually are going to prepare our kids to compete against countries outside of our borders. And that's where the competition comes from. It's not coming from that little kid next door so much. It does, but you look at who's blowing up the ACT and the SAT tests, is kids coming from other countries, and they are dominating our best universities because, to use a Eastern North Carolina vernacular, they ain't joking. They're really going hard on that. So just for whatever it's worth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm familiar with Marzano and its wonderful research evidence-based practices. My question really surrounds that Marzano's research that's cited here is from largely 2010. I don't think it's bad. My concern is that the iPhone was released in 2007, became affordable for children in 2012. There is a large gap there from where those devices have been in the hands of children now. And if we're going to be using the data to analyze the learning environment and learner engagement is largely halted by the devices that are in our classrooms that are destroying the capability of our fabulously talented educators from doing their job. So I would like to, not to hijack your presentation, like to have a serious conversation. I know Ingrid also would like to have the conversation about our school district getting serious about devices in the classroom and getting rid of them from the classroom. They are a distraction. They prevent this wonderful work from being done, and I'll go ahead and die on that hill right now. Thank you.
Just keep going.
We can. This is the device piece. And just say, if there is a commitment from the board to move forward with that discussion on the devices, then I think we need to bring that forward, put it on an agenda so we can talk about it, have that conversation. That's something that came up at the joint SIC board meeting. And so there are opportunities around that, but it takes a commitment, because not everybody in the community is going to be on board with that idea. But I think a lot might be, and I also think that our students, based on conversations I've had with students at student advisories in the past, while they wouldn't raise their hand and say, yeah, take my device, I do think that if the device was gone, eventually they would welcome that difference and that change, because it would provide a little bit of relief for them from having to be attached to it all day.
Well,
So-
yeah, I've already got it down under future agenda topics, okay? So let's not keep discussing it now.
No, I just wanted to make one comment, because it's the one that I often hear from people, and it's in regard to safety and security. If there is an issue, parents want to be able to get in touch with their kid. And I'll just say this, if there is ever an issue, you don't want your kid looking at their device trying to text you. You want them running, you want them getting in a safe place. And that's priority number one. So that's continue to die on the hill. Thank you.
Colonel Guyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm familiar with Marzano. Dr. Studane has given me too much to read about that guy, and I like it. I mean, it's good stuff, but it is dated. And I really think that Dr. Wisniewski made a super excellent point, that we've got to have a little more current evidence-based data to go on, because I think it's changed considerably. My concern is teacher workload. Every time I've seen a new program come out, there's more stuff to do for a teacher, more data to collect. When you come back, I know this is the introduction, I realize this. When you come back, I need you to Dick and Jane it a little bit for a non-educator. I need to know from the student assessment to the teacher to what she has to document and how it flows. Because I'm just afraid of another program du jour. Here's something that's hot off the presses, And when I look at the velocity of things in just my 5 years on this education business, I've seen how things have already changed since I've been on this board. New program. We did instructional reviews. I love the instructional reviews. I like the learning communities. I think they're fantastic. I just don't want to see another ornament on an overloaded Christmas tree for our teachers. And that's my concern. So when you run through this, that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Can I provide some info? I mean, you guys are going to have a lot of questions. If I wait till the end to tackle these, I'll be talking for an hour. So, first, this isn't a program. This isn't a program. I would add that instructional reviews are not a program, okay? I'll go all the time. So, culture, systems, and instruction. We spent time working on culture. We do that all the time. Systems in place are important because those systems help us move our system or our school district forward, help our teachers and schools function, and they're critical components. Instruction is the critical piece. The single greatest factor in how in student outcomes is instructional delivery by the educator. Okay. Marzano's research and work is just that. It's a body of work and a body of research, right, that is grounded in research-based, evidence-based. When you look at this map that you see on page 3 here, right, these are things that you would be looking for anyway in terms of high-quality instruction, right? You're delivering instruction on a complex content and context and complex content. Chunking the information might be an appropriate strategy to help students understand along the way. Great students sometimes have the ability to do that for themselves as they read and internalize, an advantage over other students who haven't developed that skill set yet, for example. Same thing with instruction. Your veteran teachers, your veteran educators, instinctively and naturally do many of these strategies that lay out here. And I can tell you that because the reason they landed as research-based evidence strategies is because they were observed by a team of researchers in highly effective and high-quality classrooms. And all they did was capture this great work that they saw over and over again in various classrooms across the country and laid that out onto a map, in essence, right? So what this is a map. Now, how do you improve instruction? The most effective way to improve instruction is just like the most effective way to improve most things. Feedback. Feedback. I come in, I observe, if I can pick on Mr. Nay's classroom. I see the strategies that Mr. Nay is utilizing. They could be technology-based. They could be various things. If you think back to my strategy in the budget conversation with the board, I utilized technology in that approach, right? But what did you do? What did I ask you to do? I asked you to chunk information along the way and to prioritize that information, right? So the technology is the tool or a tool, right, to accelerate learning, right? The instructional strategies, high leverage instructional strategies, are in essence what's been picked out, laid out, not only on this map, but in the evaluation tool that teachers are evaluated on a regular basis, right, through the state of South Carolina. So in essence, this is a look at high quality, high leverage instructional strategies. the art and the science of teaching. You don't want to take away the art of teaching, but you also want to see the science playing out, some of those high leverage strategies to get to higher outcomes and help students reach their highest potential. So I want to make sure that we're all understanding this from this perspective, that it's not a program, but this is not a program. This is an opportunity and a strategy, if you will, right, as a system to see where we are with those high leverage instructional strategies that most high quality educators instinctively do. And the tool can help us develop younger educators, right? There's actually a book out there called Get Better Faster. Get Better Faster, right? And Get Better Faster looks at various strategies, and feedback is grounded in it, right? In order to help improve outcomes. So but what you're saying is right. When we continue to develop and bring this back, we want to make sure that you're seeing how that ties into the different things we have, like instructional reviews, master board analysis, right? Those kinds of things. Okay, I'm quiet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You don't go from entry-level teacher to master teacher overnight. It's a process. I get that. And what differentiates is a vast career of body knowledge and 20, 30 years of experience. I get that. And if this program allows our entry-level teachers to become master teachers faster, I'm okay with that. But what I'm really concerned about is results. That's all I care about is results. If this makes our children more competitive, absolutely great. What I would like to hear, instead of what we're going to do, I would like to hear this is what we've done and this is the results that has happened. That's what I would prefer to hear, instead of taking up time with a lot of really cool word salad stuff. I would like to hear results. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Nate pretty much he said it for me in terms of, I just have one question for Mr. Flowers. In terms of that day at Well Branch, is this, do you remember that day I was at Well Branch and y'all had the observation of the teachers and work out from groups? Is that what this consists of right here?
So it could, yes. So some of the work this could be used for when we were breaking out to do observations or whatnot. It could be a tool that's leveraged there because it does look at things holistically. And it could also be used as a way to dig into the data that's showing and show teachers that how this instructional strategy is correlating over to what's happening on the math assessment. And so it could all come together, yes.
Okay, and I'm not gonna lie. I was very, very that I was glad to experience that and be able to see that and understand that process, because not only is that a unique process, but the amount of thought that go into that in terms of what Dr. Rodriguez was just saying. He was kind of spot on, and that's what made me ask you that question in terms of dissecting and understanding this of the process of what you're bringing and how that process is going to equal out to a good product, as though Mr. Nate just stated. So that's why if board members hadn't seen that I think that we should, because it also helps you understand when you're dealing with the community and different things. Because believe it or not, I have talked about that process and what I've seen that day to help people understand the amount of thought and behind the scenes that goes into make teachers successful, to make students successful in this district that are not seen. So I do appreciate Dr. Scrouch, you and her team, Dr. Rodriguez, for that, and making sure that teachers have the necessary tools that they need to make sure that our students are being successful. Now, on the other hand, in terms of what Mr. Nate just said, do you have anything you want to add to that? Okay. In terms of, I was just this weekend I got chewed out. In terms of no disrespect to Dr. Rodriguez or anyone here, in terms of people in the community just said that to me in terms of we're ready to see results, as Mr. Nate just said. Y'all been talking about that achievement gap since my daddy been in school, since my uncle been in school, Heck, since I've been in school. So now it's time to, no offense to anyone, to make our money match our results. Because we said that we want prime teachers, number one teachers. So now we want to make sure that our results are matching what the top dollars that we're paying. And the community has said it to me loudly and clearly. We want to see results. So I'm like Mr. Nay, I'm looking for results, point blank period. Thank you.
Mr. Kimball? You can pass, you don't have to say something.
I will say again that a lot of the results you get, it has to come from the parents and the community. The district can do whatever we want them to do. But if the parents is not responsible and the students are not responsible, it's a losing cause. Now I've seen a lot of results, and I'll take Whale Branch. The children that have left and went to college out of that school, that a lot of folks said wouldn't happen, but it did happen. But the reason it happened, you have a community and parents that are responsible and they care. Thank you.
Right? Yeah.
Do you want to go to Ms. Gordon? No, the online people, they're at the bottom of the line.
Yeah, you go here first.
Sorry, Ms. Gordon. So, first of all, thank you for the presentation and all the work, and I understand the importance of teacher assessment and building young teachers, because we are losing that, gold mine of teachers. They're hitting that retirement age. So I want you to hold on to the positivity here for a minute. I am the daughter of 2 high school teachers. There are things about this I find really just hard to take, and I'm going to tell you what I don't like about it. And it's not a criticism of the district. It's not a criticism of this. Mr. Marzano, you can hire him on Celebrity Booking Agent for $20,000. He will come speak to us. His company is privately owned and worth somewhere around $500 million. So out of curiosity, I said, I wonder what kind of jobs Mr. Marzano's resources is hiring. It's event coordinators, sales, and marketing. So to the point that this data is dated, not only is the data dated, I do, Mr. Flowers, have concerns about some of his data. He did a meta-analysis on his own data, right? He used an ANCOVA linear regression, and how do you control for the covariates of children? He basically, and so that's not the appropriate, now in 2009, maybe that's what we had. But in 2024, we have brain implants that let paralyzed people operate a computer mouse with their mind. We can do better than this. And this is just my criticism of this method. And to Mr. Dallas's point, we are absolutely, and I've said this at this board meeting many times, we are competing. I saw it with my daughter at UC Berkeley. I see it with my son at Northwestern. The hard sciences are being dominated by international students, and so that is a grave concern. If this program that rolled out in 2009 was having substantial results, we'd know it already. We can probably move the needle a little bit. So that's one concern. The other concern I have is with the teachers and the workload, but Mr. Marzano tweeted, students' attention and engagement are directly under the control of the classroom teacher. So to Rachel Wisniewski's point, kids are not under control right now. It is a discipline issue, and we have heard recent events where just despairing teachers are not able to teach. And I don't know what I would do if I decided to venture in the classroom and try to teach a class, and I had the kind of behavior and disruption that's currently going on in our schools, and someone was assessing me as to whether or not I demonstrated with-itness. So I understand why the district is doing this. We are confined by the expectations that our politicians set for us. We are defined by the expectations that businesses and community members. But that's my rant. These sorts of programs, the data needs to be reevaluated at some point. And they're actually doing that with some of these educational scholars. Jo Bowler from Stanford was recently in the news because she's been accused of falsifying a lot of her data. And she's the woman that said California schools shouldn't offer algebra in 8th grade. And the obvious consequence of that is anybody who wants to go into the competitive hard sciences, you have to take algebra in 8th grade because you can't get to calculus, right? So they just pulled their kids out of schools. So that was defeated. But I do think we run the risk of relying on 14-year-old data, of which he did his own I mean, I just can't get over that. He meta-analyzed his own studies and saying that this is some sort of new product. You guys can bring it to the board, and here are the questions I'm going to have. How much does it cost? And I want the teachers to have bi-directional feedback. So as they're being assessed, I want them to be able to reach out to you and not like a focus group. I want robust, like if the teachers are going, this is crazy, I'm trying to keep track of these 43 things, I'm trying to keep a lively pace, acknowledge the students' engagement, show with itness. Let them tell you, because I don't want to burn teachers out in the assessment program. The third question I have, does this replace Performance Matters?
I think that you're all missing the point on this. So let me try and clarify this piece, right? So Performance Matters is a platform, right, that houses assessment results, that houses the ability to create and utilize common assessments that you can administer across the district, right? So that you can say after, 3 weeks or 4 weeks of instruction, right? Are our kids mastering the information or not? And then I can make an informed decision as an educator about whether we move forward, whether I need to reteach, or whatever it is. So Performance Matters is an assessment platform that allows you to deliver assessments, that houses assessment results, that allows teachers to go in there and see how students have done along the way. This is purely about trying to identify high quality, high leverage strategies for instructional purposes. This isn't an assessment that that our kids are going to take. This isn't an assessment that our teachers are going to take, or anything like that. It's about improving instructional practice. Period. That's where it ends. There's feedback that goes back and forth between an administrator or an instructional coach or something like that when they connect with teachers, either in a PLC or either on a one-on-one or whatever. It's about improving instructional practice, non-evaluative as they started, right? That's it. That's what that is, right? No more than that. Performance Matters is something else. So I don't want to.
All right, just a minute, please. We have Miss Chloe Gordon next.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you. After listening to everyone and hearing Dr. Rodriguez's comments, I have nothing to say. I just appreciate all the feedback. Thank you.
Mary Strata.
All right, Dr. Wisniewski?
Dr. Strata's hand. Dr. Strata's hand.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Dr. Stratus?
Thank you, Dr. Blas. I know the virtual people, I apologize not being there. I just want to put a few points of clarification Dr. Rodriguez drove forward. Statements forward today have to be aligned with the right strategies in order to ensure that we're teaching children to the depth of knowledge. This work was put together at a zero cost to the district. It was human capital that was basically utilized. We did our research, we worked in groups, we did not hire an outside consultant. We did attend some conference work almost a year and a half ago, have taken a year and a half of research work to put together information to help during PLCs for coaching purposes, nothing for assessment, nothing for evaluative, and the teacher themselves is not tallying this. This is an opportunity, as we do walkthroughs in our IRs, this is an opportunity as instructional coaches are building my capacity as an instructor to help me align my practices and then help me during a PLC so I could redefine it. Did I hit the mark as we are taking formative assessments? I just wanted to share that into this. There's a big difference between handing a child a paper and pencil and writing observations and ending a lesson there versus giving our students an opportunity to discuss their observations and do comparative contrast, talk about what they've observed, give justification of practice. And that's what we're trying to lead into deeper knowledge to align with the state standards. So I just wanted to give a little more clarification. Dr. Watts, thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. Wisniewski.
I was just going to clarify kind of what I meant by my comments and the dates and whatnot of Marzano. I think Marzano is pretty common sense, just personally. A lot of it just is putting into a very regimented and clear outline of what instructional practice should look like to get effective outcomes. That's my way of putting it. I think it's common sense. My purpose for mentioning the dates on Marzano is that you can have all that. That can be fantastic and wonderful and foundational, but when you have this other distraction, that's just what prevents it from being effective, and you can't get to those outcomes. So we might be collecting data and we might be doing great stuff, but we've got this hindrance. So that was my point of clarification. Thank you.
Do you have anything further?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, there's no board business action or consent agenda. The future agenda topics, you can raise your hand if you'd like to suggest a topic. We already have the devices in the classroom from our discussion. That's going to be a good one. Yeah. All right. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know whether it be in a work session, but.
Oh, so can
I don't know if it'd be in a work session or an upcoming board meeting, but filling that gap from birth to 5, I think strategically there needs to be some discussion of that, and we need to be able to have some really hard, candid conversations with the community at large so they understand, because I truly believe few parents are going to know how important they are in the learning process and not put forth that effort to help their kids. So, whenever that's appropriate.
Okay. Dr. Rodriguez?
I was just going to piggyback on Mr. Dallas's comments. So, at the work session, one of the items that we have on the work session is the budget, but the other item we have at the work session, and both of these are going to take up pretty much the day, but the second part of it there is also a strategic plan conversation, and so that sounds to me like that could sort of, I'm sure it's going to come up whether we plan for it or not. I think it's going to come up, so I would encourage anybody to think about that before we get to the work session, because I'm sure they'll be part of it.
All right. For announcements, so we have a special called board meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. and it is at the district office. And if you are not able to come in person, you may participate remotely via Zoom. And the only agenda item is to discuss the board's legislative agenda. And the reason we're doing it now is because we have several board members going to the state capitol to meet with our delegation through South Carolina School Boards Association program. They do that every year, and that is on April 10th. So that's just a week later. Those are the two things I really wanted to say. Earl and I are actually going to the National School Boards Association conference this weekend, and I was already looking at the lectures or presentations, and my interest is going to be how to get the community and families engaged. That's just where I was going to focus my interest. Any other announcements, Dr. Rodriguez? No.
announcement. I just
Yes.
was seeking clarification. You're going to the NSBA or to
Yes.
the CC, the other one?
No, the NSBA.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so, we do not have any, second public comments, correct, Robin? Okay, so, there being no further, agenda items or business, we will adjourn by unanimous consent. Good night and thank you to everyone that participated.